So today I do want to do 3 key things. One, the whole topic of what we're talking about today obviously is media. That's multifaceted. And so I want to talk about what have we done in the past, what are we doing now, and who's involved. So what have we done in the past in terms of the content we've created, our strategies, who has been involved then and now. And I really want to get to you, Chorbie, and do an introduction, yourself, your company, how long you've been with us, what you're doing right now, what do you intend to do in the future. And then next to you is you, Brent, so the actual producer of all the stuff that we're doing, which is the strategy that Chorbie and the rest of us are coming up with, and yourself too, for that matter. And ideally put together some tangible things on what are we literally going to do for the next podcast, and then the ones beyond that. So getting a framework for the schedule, the tempo, and maybe even come up with some ideas on what we can do next.
Who's taking notes? That little recorder right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good answer.
AI note taker, like have you all Otter. Like
Otter, right,
notes
Otter,
in the
yeah.
meeting,
Yeah, we can absolutely use that
There you go.
and transcribe it.
Transcribe everything for me.
Yeah. So, Chorbie, you've been a part of working with Chorbie for three and a half
over 3
years?
years.
Yeah. It wasn't until the past year that I discovered the name of your business is Lobster Ferret.
Yeah.
And quite literally, my first thought was, am I just missing out? What the heck does lobster ferret mean? Must be some code that I'm just not cool enough to understand. Anyways, it's a really interesting name. Could you maybe explain yourself, your background, and your company?
Yeah, so I have always been a little entrepreneur at heart. I mean, since I was a kid, literally selling donuts and coffee at my parents' garage sales and asking when the next garage sale is, going out at 6 a.m., getting a dozen donuts for, maybe $5 or whatever it is, and selling them all for $1 each, and making some money. And then, the day goes on and you start discounting the donuts, and I probably broke even, quite frankly. But I was always super into that. And so that's kind of where my story starts. My dad was an entrepreneur. My grandpa was an entrepreneur. And so that's really in the blood. It's always what I've wanted to do. So when I was probably 17, I started kind of my own personal brand, was working on putting together a website. Luckily, ChorbieWheeler.com was available as a domain, which is a perk of having a semi-unique name. I don't consider it like crazy, but definitely nice to have that. But in the meantime of building the site, I was building on Squarespace, and you get basically 2 random words, 2 random nouns, .squarespace.com. And so my 2 random nouns were lobster ferret. Again, very first website that I had built, and I was just like, that just really rolls off the tongue nicely.
It's easy to remember.
It's odd. It's a little out there, but it's unique.
It's memorable.
It's very memorable, and it just kind of it's like, oh, lobster ferret, and so that stuck around for a while. I started my first kind of agency, if you will, and that was called KW Branding and Design. Obviously, my initials, branding and design, very generic,
probably what I would have done. Yeah.
So, kind of did that for a while. I was primarily focused on design heavy things. I was doing packaging design. There's a coffee brand that I did their packaging design for when I was, I think, 18. That's still on the shelves today. Thank God I did something right.
Awesome.
It was actually funny, walking into the local coffee shop when I went home for Christmas one year and saw it in the little basket.
Nice.
That's always a kind of a surreal experience. But I'm a serial learner. Like, I learn one thing, I'm like, cool, yeah, learn that, on to the next thing. So then moved on to doing social media, digital ads, that sort of thing, freelancing a lot more. And so that's where the KW Branding and Design name came. But it was very clear to me early on that name would not serve me forever, and it was far too constrictive, and would not serve what I saw as a long-term vision for myself. So Lobster Ferret stuck around, and now we're transitioning for that to be the name of both agencies. They'll kind of collide together and create Lobster Ferret. Well, really, KW Branding and Design is being absorbed into Lobster Ferret. But yeah, I started working with Chorbie December of 2019, I believe, right before the pandemic, working with Jeremy. And really loved the experience. I remember EJ telling me it's a soft 2-year commitment. Like, I'm not hiring anybody that doesn't want to be around for the semi long haul.
Yeah,
I don't
we-
consider 2 years commitment long haul wise, but
Yeah, I got that from a management consultant I had hired years ago.
yeah,
And he pointed out, you should never hire W-2 team members that are short-term. You don't
Yeah.
want to do that, just as a general rule of thumb. So yeah, I had as a normal rule of thumb back at that time. I don't tend to say that as much now. Granted, I don't do a lot of recruiting thanks to Ben now, or the interview process. But yeah,
Yeah.
I remember regularly telling people, and part of that also comes from the lawn and landscaping industry, and it is a very high turnover business. And so it's like when you're interviewing, that was something
Yeah.
you talked about. Are you going to be here for 2 years? And but yeah, I remember you're right. I
Yeah.
always said you got to be here 2 years if I'm looking to hire because
Yeah.
I want long term.
yeah. So I came on as W-2 at the time.
Part time though, right?
Part-time,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it was about 20 hours a week working with Jeremy in office, out of office, and then pandemic hit, which was fun. But again, we were already fairly remote at the time. I was in office maybe 2 times
Yeah.
a week at most and doing a lot of the other work from home. But, it got to, I think, June of that year, and I just couldn't, I was still freelancing on the side because I was only part-time. I was in school full-time at the time as well. And I just couldn't put down the entrepreneur baton. I just I was like, I know this is what I want to do in the long term. And so had that conversation, and EJ was nice enough to keep me around for another couple of years. And here we are 3 years later, working in my agency, but really as a part of the team, more integrated than I think any other agency would look like.
Yeah, we've got we're very fortunate, I think, on our team. If you look at our org chart, our organizational chart, we've got 3 positions specifically where the team members, Kobe's one of those 3, are a big part of the team, but they're not technically W-2 team members.
It's the fractional dynamic.
That
Yeah.
fractional
So that's,
dynamic, exactly.
I think that brings me to the current day, which is I really look at my role as some sort of fractional marketing manager or CMO. And that's not just for Chorbie, but also
Right.
for executive lawn care and Scoop Soldiers. So I think it's a lot of fun to be able to play in all those different sandboxes and grow those brands. Even in the 3 years that I've been with Chorbie, there's been a lot of growth, not just from a revenue or a client side, but also just in the amount of services and what our brand looks like and who it speaks to. So same thing at Scoop Soldiers.
I would like to hear what the progression, I'd like you to speak in on this, the progression of the branding from 2019, from its inception to where we're at right now to what we intend for it to be in 23, 24 and beyond. What has that journey been like? How has it morphed and changed over time?
Well,
And I'd love to
actually-
hear your...
When I think of the answer, how I would answer that question, it actually goes back before Chorbie. So Chorbie's established in mid 2019. Go back to 2017 is when I really began to use the word media. Prior to 2017, you probably would have never even heard me use the word media. As far as branding goes or whatnot, it was like, okay, you've got search engine optimization, you've got digital marketing, and you got door hangers and print marketing, and that's about it. But actually, a social media person, Gary Vee, introduced me to the concept of media, and I loved what I heard. I agreed with what I heard, what I've seen. It tied into what we're seeing, and that is that every brand needs to be a media company. It needs to put itself out there. And when I think back, I didn't realize this. That was 2017. And so we ran out and we said, we need to, and I saw it, I recognized that. And it helped having Jeremy Langlitz as really my right hand in so many ways. It really helped having him. I'm not super tech savvy or media oriented, but he had as a career as a professional videographer. So, hey, that might be an interesting fit there. And he was already handling and managing our marketing. And he's the one that, of course, found you, Kobe, and introduced us back then. And so in 2017, we kind of put together our first attempt at media. And I say our first attempt because I can't say it was necessarily wildly successful. What I did is I took internal operations people and I said, here, Jeremy, here's your team. And they did a good job as far as they put work into it, they put creativity into it. Most of those team members, I think, are still team members today in operations. But they weren't media people, and they didn't, that wasn't the thing that they had come to work to do. And so with the shift to Chorbie and the resources that took, media got cut. And so we kind of paused it. 2019, we launched Chorbie, but we really didn't have the resources. It wasn't, simply from a resources standpoint, it wasn't time. And fast forward, so for 2019, we took a pause about a year and a half. And then we've kind of picked that back up, and we've started working on personal branding the last 18 months. But we really still haven't done a whole lot with the Chorbie media concept of branding. We focused on digital marketing and maybe the website. Maybe not print much, and maybe not a lot of media. I see 2023 being that shift. Where we focus on branding Chorbie through real media, putting myself out there as the brand spokesperson to our clients and to our audience, our community. And then also, of course, working in the business world and working to get our vision and our big picture vision out to people that might be interested.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest tangible shifts in honing in and putting resources into media for this year is onboarding Brent. Brent is our media producer. So Brent, share us a little bit about your background, who you are, your background, and why you came to work at White Picket.
Deal. I got my degree in radio, TV, film back when you had to actually know how to do all that. It wasn't on an iPhone, and immediately found out that I didn't need it. I started working on crews in Dallas and learned so much so quickly with just all the old school guys who've been doing it, and kind of got the bug that I wanted to be some sort of part of production and producing primarily narrative stuff at the beginning, and then moved out to LA and wanted to be an actor like everybody else who moves out to LA, and that went swimmingly well. Tons of IMDb credits. And
I did stumble upon it just really quick. I stumbled accidentally, actually. I'm surprised that in my initial interview process I didn't find it, but I stumbled upon his IMDb profile the other day.
What is an IMDb?
It's
Internet
like
movie database.
Yeah.
It's like
So-
if you've been in actual films that have been released or have been out to the public, you can list it on there. Your agent lists it on there. It's everything you've been in.
Okay, cool. So you
I
came
found
across
some wonderful bits of Brent looking different.
Way different. So I did acting for a little bit, and the more I kind of got into it, the less I really enjoyed it, because I came from the like behind the camera production aspect of it, and all the processes that go into getting that one actor to look beautifully lit and perfect right then. That actor didn't even realize happened. They didn't show up until it's time for them to go in front of it. And I was like, there's so many other people here working as a team to make this one moment for you, and you don't really even appreciate it. And then
You mean people that like to be on camera don't appreciate
all the hard work. And so I started thinking about that. And then as I started moving up, it was like being a puppet. An actor is like being a puppet. Like I would move you where I needed you to be. I would put you in your trailer, which all actors think is really cool. That's just so we could know where you were constantly. We gave you an assistant who followed you everywhere and was on radio. So when I said I needed you on set, they grab you and bring you on set. So it's really babysitting a bunch of egotistical kind of kids. All actors aren't like that. Sidebar. But I really sidebar. All actors aren't like that. But for the most part, I really loved the aspect of being part of the team that was creating it. And when you start working with, in narrative stuff with a lot of actors who do get into it, it's great. But the team aspect of going from nothing, from not even words on a page, to creating words on a page, to creating what it's going to look like, the set, the tone, what the lighting's going to look like, that all started drawing me in. And I was like, I'm really trying to sell, like it's building this thing that I want to sell to the audience. I want them to be pulled in and believe everything that's happening with it. And then, so from that, it jumped me into randomly being asked if I could help produce an infomercial, QVC. And I was like, sure. And so I jumped into that, and we came up with everything for the product, and we hired an actor, or C-list actors to be the spokespeople, put on a massive diet for about 8 weeks. So that it was for a ab flexion belt. So basically it gave you a six pack. And from that, we did one, and then the owners of it put it out and immediately sold product, and they're like, we want more. So they ordered another 8. And so we just, for the next 2 years, basically produced nothing but these infomercials. And with that, we did print media as well. We did everything we could possibly think of during the shoot to capitalize on what we had. And this was still back when everybody said you had to have huge budgets and do all this. And at that time, advertising on the internet was kind of becoming a thing. And it was like, oh, okay, we can capitalize on, if we do spend this money on this shoot, let's get as much content as we possibly can, chop it up into smaller pieces that can go onto Instagram, into Facebook and all that, to lead them to the website or the QVC channel to actually order the product. And so learning that, like you, I love to learn. So once I kind of learned, oh, interesting, that's how you could do it. You could take little pieces of a longer form narrative, chop it up, and start getting people to click or to be interested in, oh, that was 2 minutes, I'd like to know more. Boom, here's a link. And now you're on the website. And then on the website, we have more videos and more stills and more testimonials about it. And it's like leading your potential customer like kind of like a little mouse. Like, here's a little piece of cheese. And then they keep following, and they get the big piece of cheese, and hopefully they take a huge bite. And now everybody's winning. And that was really cool for me to come from like just me and one other guy to growing into a huge team that was actually creating revenue for the client, and we were making money doing what we were doing, and we kept getting more and more clients from that. Kind of like, like you said, like you start off with the one and you put everything into it and it grows, and now you have more clients. And that's basically kind of where I found myself, and then came back to Texas and went to started working for an advertising agency in Dallas. Got into that. Everybody was so much younger than me, and taught me everything I need to know about Instagram and TikTok or whatever else there is now. And that was great fun. And then what I was missing a part of a sense of purpose, I guess. And I was tired of peddling beer to people and like not necessarily lying, but bending the truth and just trying to get people to buy this product without me fully believing in it. So I moved from that to a children's hospital in Fort Worth, and there I found like my purpose. Like, this is a great cause. I want to help elevate where they were and get more people engaged to donate, because it's all funded by donations. And that felt great. And then I was kind of a one-man team and then obviously COVID hit, and I was working from home a lot, and it was me shooting, editing, audio, and it's just and I got it was kind of like solitary confinement for me. I like to talk to people, and so going from a bigger team to just me started kind of getting at me a little bit. So then I went off and freelanced for a little bit, and that was a little bit better, and then I was just missing the team. And when I met Ben for the first time and we chatted, I got a sense of who he was as a person, and then every single person that I met in the interview process had a very familiar aspect to him, where everybody knew each other more intimately than you would if you're just a coworker. So it felt like a community of people that share the same kind of principles, values, and ideas, and all believe in Chorbie, all believe in what we're doing. And that for me was what ultimately I was like, I would love to be a part of this company. This is something that I did my research and knew a little bit about, but from the people that you guys have brought onto your team, it made you want to be a part of it. It was like the cool kids, if that made any sense, or like the varsity team. You want to be a part of that because they all had each other's backs, and they all believed in what they were doing. And if somebody needed help on something, Jeremy's there to jump in to help Ben, or Ben needs to help Jeremy, and with you, EJ, it's the same. That really great sense of purpose and community was right there, and that's kind of what drew me into Chorbie and the life that I've been in now for 2 weeks.
Well, welcome, sir. Welcome. 2 weeks. So welcome.
I'm in.
And
I was
we're
going to say,
excited to
just
have you.
to piggyback off of that, I mean, the interview round that I was in, I think you hopped off and we stayed on, and we were like, yeah, culture fit, check.
Done.
When can we hire him? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
literally was that quick. It
Yeah,
was very clear.
I remember you were actually the first person that I interviewed for this position, and as soon as I hopped off the call, I was like, there's no way it's that easy. That doesn't make any sense. But clearly, it was the right fit. And yeah, after our second interview, I mean, it was very clear cut. And the only, I don't want to say the only reason, but the other subsequent interviews that you went through were kind of just formality. It was very clear in my mind you were the right fit, and I was really excited to get rolling on it.
Yeah,
I was
it's-
annoyed that I had to take an extra 2 weeks to get you hired in, though.
A whole 2 weeks.
Well, and
All 2
then
weeks too long.
going to the media aspect, talking to Ben and kind of understanding what the role was going to be. Again, it still really isn't 100%
Nope.
felt out, and I don't think
No,
it should
it won't be.
ever.
And about the time I was gonna say, about the time you think it is,
Yeah.
I'll have something new.
Well, and that's the fun part about like you love to learn, like trying to figure out what is needed, how my skill set can best help get there, and then being able to have this kind of stuff where you bounce ideas off of each other and figure out kind of where you think things are going, what Ben knows on his side of things, what you know from your background, and what I can bring and help bring and fill in the gaps. And I think it's always just very organic and it's moving constantly, and I think we have to because technology, media, every year moves
Yep.
something. Something else is new. Something else
Every
is
Well-
week.
every
Facebook has a new
But in
update.
addition
I'm
to
like, oh,
that,
God.
us as a company, myself as a leader, each of us in our positions are learning. We're getting better. We're learning what doesn't work and what does. And so we've got to change. We've got to make that change.
It also makes it fun.
It does.
Keeps you on your toes.
It does.
And then I had one huge question that I think I waited till this to ask.
Oh, wonderful.
Because I've talked to my
Love
wife
that.
about it numerous times, and I'm like, and everybody I tell, I work with White Picket, and Chorbie is the brand that I work on. I was like, how did you come up with the name Chorbie? And
Chorbie.
is it a combination of two things?
What do you think?
We came up with it's chores by us, essentially. Like it's chores
Okay.
by somebody else besides you. So Chorbie.
So
Chores
I want
by
to
us.
take this one in just a second, but before I do, Kobe, do you know what it is?
Okay. Well, I didn't know about it until late last year when
Okay.
we got that question at the UNT visit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So to answer your question, it's a chore and a hobby. Chorbie. That at least is what we so in 2019, actually late 2018, we decided, crap, we got to change our name again. It was the second time.
Good one.
And so Josh, and I say we as a team, but my business partner Josh and I as well. And so in February we made it a collaborative thing. I think this is right around the time Ben started with this, right?
I came in
the
my
middle of
first
that.
staff meeting was, we're now called Chorbie.
Okay,
That's what it was.
So prior to that, we had a few different meetings where we let most of our team, any of our leadership for sure, but I think even our entire company, pretty much contribute 3 names if they wanted to. I don't think we made them, but if you want, get us at least 3 names. Well, my business partner Josh came up with 20. And he has historically, if you go back and look at our history, he has historically been the guy who names that helps names the company. He's more, he cares more about the name. Like I name 10, come up with 10 names, I'm gonna like 8 of them. Whereas he's only gonna like 1 of them.
Yeah.
And so he's just more particular. So he comes up with 20, might have even been 50, it was great. So then as a team, maybe right before you started, we had sat down and gone through all of these different names and some of the key things that it had to be. And Josh was much more, he led this charge and helped me, encouraged and really influenced me in this. The name had to be something that could never really be duplicated. It could be easily trademarked and couldn't be duplicated. Same concept of lobster ferret.
Totally.
Easily memorable, something you could build a brand around, but something that could be anything. That could really be. And Josh, of course, made fun of me and was like, it needed to be something that could be anything because for all we know, you're going to want to get into shipping or something. So, yeah, these 20 names, we looked through them. There was some good ones. There were some that were just stupid. But all he had really done was just searched out online, just brainstorming and Googling names. And Chorbie was one of these that he'd come across, and it was a website that was for sale, fairly not an outrageously cost, but it talked about the definition of a Chorbie. So it was almost like, I didn't know this, but there's pre-built brands out there that you can buy for $1,000 or $5,000 or $1 million. I mean, I think Mark Zuckerberg paid millions for Meta. Right, and so it was just one of those. It was very early stages, and we completely scrapped the original. Like, there's actually, if you Google Chorbie, you can go back and you can find, I think there was like pinks in the color coding and whatnot, but it was just basically there for show for someone to come along and buy and build. That's where it came from.
Well, and your chores, our passion, our hobby.
Exactly.
Chorbie.
And by the way, that also is credited to Mr. Cahill.
Your chores are passion.
Your chores are passion. He came up with that. We trademarked it. I've always laughed and joked. I've joked in these various podcasts over the years that so my mission statement for Chorbie, our mission statement that I came up with, is conveniently adding value and comfort to your property. His is your chores are passion. His slogan. He comes up with that, and that's a good testament to the two of us. He is much more short, sweet, to the point. Let's move on. I'm a little more long-winded. I like to explain a little bit more. And so that's a testament, those two, the slogan versus the mission statement.
Well, it certainly works well. I love it. And once you have the description behind the name, it makes a lot of sense, but that's only a piece of the branding. So what do you see as the shift of our branding into 2023 from what it currently has been?
Yeah, I mean, when did you and I have that meeting about how website and technology had to talk to each other? A year ago? Longer than that?
No, it was
8 months?
it was March, April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, EJ and I had I would call it a heart-to-heart to some extent.
Phone call. It was a phone.
one-on-one.
Is it the phone call I'm remembering? Yeah.
And then I think we had a follow-up video meeting. But there had to, if we were going to invest all this money into technology and start to franchise, we had to solidify ourselves as an all-encompassing home services company. And I had felt like in the past we had not done ourselves, not that we had done ourselves a disservice, but that we had maybe not lived up to our full potential as an all-inclusive. I like to call it all-inclusive. Some will say one-stop shop, and then I
hate
it's like the
one-stop
cat
shop.
with the with the water bottle. No, not that. All-inclusive home services company or home and commercial services company as we.
And I've played with different names, property
Yeah.
services, because I don't want to be only home. But
And
at
then
the
when
end
you
of the
get into
day,
shipping, it's just going to be services
exactly.
company.
No. But at the end of the day, I have kind of reverted back to just say home services. Yes, there's going to be a commercial play.
Sure.
Yes,
Yep.
I want to take care of everything from high-rise office complexes, multifamily, to your standard single family home,
Yep.
everything in between. But for all intents and purposes, home services.
Yeah. So we kind of had this heart-to-heart where we said, I don't think the website serves us as well as it could necessarily in that regard, nor does, and I think more importantly, does the brand.
Yeah.
We were fairly lawn care centric, fairly, exterior centric.
You keep acting like that's past tense.
Okay, let me get to my point.
Sorry.
Which is,
now when
I live in the future.
You're right. Good point. Good point.
Because in February we will come out with a new website that I think does a far better job of articulating that. This, I think, is a good representation of where the brand is going
Yes.
in
Yeah.
2023.
Absolutely. You've got pools on
We've
there. I
got
love
pools
it.
on there. We've got pest control on there. We've got lawn care, and there's what have we got? 28, 30 services now at this
I've
point.
been saying 30, I
Yeah,
think
I
is
think
the
it's
number
30
I'm
at this
at.
point. Maybe
Because
34 'cause
I
we
think
added all the
it's
pool
over
ones.
30.
Yeah.
It's because it was 28 before we added pool,
Yeah.
and pool came with a couple of services. Yeah.
So we've come up with now this kind of, I think, really solid brand that has a very has a language is what I kind of pitched it to you as. It's these hexagons that are color coded, just like you would have at FedEx, right? Every the EX and FedEx has different colors depending on if it's cargo or home or commercial, that kind of thing, or office, right? And so that was kind of the inspiration behind it, and I can't take full credit for it because our graphic designer Gina kind of came up with this idea, and then we solidified it.
You know who I actually also helped come up with that, and not somebody you necessarily, or an organization that but Hot Dish. Hot Dish is actually who actually literally used the FedEx concept as
Yeah.
an example.
I think we.
I don't remember Gina. Gina might have helped.
Gina and I worked on it before Hot Dish did, actually.
Okay.
I think we had sent them some of the initial concepting that we had
Okay.
put together, and so they kind of stole my thunder. But I'll let it so really, that's where the idea came from, was that no matter what we go into in the future, there's unlimited colors in the
Right.
color palette, however many millions literally in RGB, that we could build out this massive home services brand that's all under one umbrella. It's not like some of the other conglomerates that have 4 or 5 different brands, for each different service line. It is one all-inclusive company. And then we can silo the brands down. This is really important for franchising. We can silo the brands to say, well, this is pools and patio, and that's going to be a nice blue color, and they offer all those services in XYZ zip code, but we only offer lawn care over here. There had to be a very easy language that we could use to signify that. And so there's been a lot of thought, a lot of debate, a lot of how do we make this work? How does operations versus marketing talk about what services we offer and where and how? But really, I think we have set ourselves up for success for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line to be able to have a language visually that we can stick behind and continue to expand upon without having to go through a rebrand every 3 years because we've added 4 new services. We can continue to add puzzle pieces to that in the future. So
Yeah.
Yeah, smart. Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate the being forward thinking. Generally speaking, that's how we operate. We're never really thinking much in the
Well,
now.
all I really like to do is daydream, so I'm always forward thinking.
Exactly. My point with
Well,
that.
and I think to your point, like since I'm the newest, coming in, I always try to think about if I'm a potential customer, if I am a current customer, if I have a color code system that I know I don't have a pool, so I don't have to worry about looking at that. Like on the website, I can go in that, or if I'm seeing a video and we have a yellow overlay, and we correspond those overlays with what we're actually targeting, like tree and trim, bed and bush, like bush and bed, and all that, and I can see that, and it visually makes me think, okay, this is tied to this service.
Yeah.
So I think it's extremely smart to be able to take all those different 34 plus services, which is a lot. It's like looking at the menu at
Cheesecake
Cheesecake
Factory.
Factory. Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
BJ's is huge too.
And then you pair that down. You're like, all right, I don't like fish, so I'm not gonna look at the blue. I'm gonna look at the yellow because I want this, and it helps from a customer standpoint narrow everything down so it's not so much information straight in your face all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, there was a lot on the technical side as well, not just design, on when we do expand outside of DFW through franchising or other means, but we only offer lawn care, or we only offer pools. How do we communicate that effectively on a technical end? And so the new website, when we start to do those things, I mean, even in the different 3 branches we have now for different services, will basically bring the IP address in and display the services we offer in those areas first in the carousel that's on the website. It should, if we do it correctly, make things very easy for us to grow in the future. I think that was the biggest problem we were trying to solve when we were talking about website and technology working together.
Well, and the other piece to that is creating a website foundation that we can build upon for providing quotes, providing estimates, and actually signing up service. There's a specific marketing term for it, but start to finish online signing up for service.
Yeah.
Being able to quote and bid that, and some services we're going to be able to do that in a matter of 6 months, a year, hopefully. Others it might take a little more development.
But yeah, absolutely. So that's really where the brand is going. We have internally set a foundation for what that looks like, and once the website launches and once we do a little bit more with Chorbie Technologies, whatever that timeline looks like, I think we're in a really good spot to continue to grow. If EJ comes up with some other service that we need to launch in 4 weeks, then
Not
we could
if.
do it very easily.
Well, no, in all seriousness, we aren't launching any further services for quite some time. We have plenty to work on. I'm actually really happy with where Chorbie starts 2023 with that addition of pools. You know, in 2019, when we launched Chorbie, Josh and I both agreed, we can't launch Chorbie. And so we were weed extinguishers. We're a lawn care company that had also ventured into landscaping. And we had this ambition, obviously, to get into other home services. And so we thought we can't change the name and not also start offering something. And so we went for the lowest hanging fruit. We went for things we already halfway knew how to do. Handyman services. We are really good at fixing busted fences thanks to all the mows we do. Thousands of mows create, even at the 1% mark, create broken gates. So handyman services, junk removal, window washing, gutter cleaning. These are services that are fairly easy for a company like ours, lawn and landscaping, to enter into. So we enter into those. But none of those services are recurring services, which is what that's what we know.
Yep.
And so we're building them, but they're slow going because that's not our area is what we know is recurring services. So I'm excited that we launched pools in the last 3 months because that's another recurring service that has nothing to do with lawn and landscapes.
Yeah.
And so that's I really think is gonna pull our business to more so to being that home services business, all inclusive.
Yep.
Whereas frankly, up until this point, I told a gentleman I had lunch with today, we are a startup, a technology startup, Chorbie Technologies 2023. On one hand, that's exactly what we are. On the other hand, on paper today, we're a medium-sized lawn and landscaping company
Totally.
that is aspiring to be a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And with the end game being in mind, the end game in mind is the client.
Yeah.
Innovating and revolutionizing that client experience in home services.
I think that all starts with the branding and setting the foundation and communicating ourselves in that way. And so I hope that when we launch this website, that's better communicated and will set us up for success to do pools and handiwork and all the other things that we want to do in the future.
Get it launched. Let's make it happen.
We're on the cusp.
Yeah.
We're on the cusp. Well, yeah, we're almost
what are
done.
it, 4
4 more weeks.
4 to 6.
4 to 6 more weeks.
I feel like what's going to make what I think makes Chorbie stand above and beyond any other lawn care landscape company is literally the team members that do the work. It's been brief, but go ahead.
I was just wanted to point out, so we did a video shoot with Graham Spray Equipment yesterday, right? Yesterday.
Y'all are busy.
And so
A lot of editing.
Well, and on Wednesday they were doing
I
shoots
know,
for trees.
That's why I'm saying y'all are busy.
yeah, and I do want to hop back into more media stuff, but the representative that they had out for Graham had mentioned a lot of recognition for Jeremy Lowe, our director of agronomy, who is so natural at speaking in front of a camera to thoroughly articulate whatever is going on.
Yeah.
And he has a way of drawing you in and to capture some engagement. And he's very personable. And so it's not only do we have individuals who are great leaders, who are bought into what we're trying to accomplish here, but people that are just good at it. And they're good at going above and beyond just what's required, but to be a part of the bigger picture and, in my opinion, carry on the story and the branding of who Chorbie is, which is a rare thing to
Or
have.
just good, genuine people
Right.
that are easy to have a conversation
Yeah.
with, which leads itself to be very easy to do good media and good marketing
Yeah.
with.
So I did a little quick research. Did you ever look at Graham's YouTube page? I'm not gonna say anything bad about them, but if you look at the other people that they have done videos with, and you look at what Jeremy just did, we're gonna blow it out of the water.
I'm excited to see
I
it.
mean, hands down,
For sure.
significantly better than anyone else on their YouTube page. So to me, it's super exciting to think the things that we're gonna work on creating together will support the branding that we have in a way that's unique to this industry. And I really believe that we will capture engagement above and beyond what we currently have right now. But to expand into what we've talked about with franchising and drawing people in to the opportunities that we have, I think part of how the low-hanging fruit is creating content that's going to bring people into that.
Yep.
So to that, Brent, you've started to create some content for tree trimming and winter leaf cleanups, I believe. So talk me through your experience working with those team members. I do not envy the amount of editing that you're going to have to do.
Well, Jeremy Lowe is very passionate about what he does.
Yeah.
And I think he's just a passionate guy in general, because every time he talks to you, he's very much engaged in the conversation. He's not trying to get out of it. He would stay for another hour and just talk to you.
Yeah, that's the problem, is pulling back.
Yeah. And he's been doing it 30 years and he's still excited about it.
Yeah.
And seeing him, and then the team that he was able to have show up as well, like Taylor, from all the reviews and everything, she is like, people want Taylor to come to their house. They can't wait for it. She has, if you don't know her, she comes off and you're like, ooh, I'm not gonna talk to her because she seems standoffish. And then the second that she smiles or she laughs, you're in. You're like, holy crap! Like, she's so knowledgeable, first of all, but then she's such a good person that has this, I don't want to say bubbly because that just sounds kiddish, but this
Infectious
yeah. happiness to her about her job, about life in general, and being able to get a few shots with her. Like, I took her out after Graham was done, and I was like, I just want to get some video of you getting out of your rig and your style. Like, you have the glasses. Everybody knows you wear the glasses. So I'm going to have you put those on and off. I'm going to have you put the hat on. I want you to come out with your attitude and, like, shut the door. And the goal with that is just to kind of highlight the fact that we have an amazingly talented female on our team, which is very rare in this industry.
Yeah.
And it's somebody that people want to see and they want more of that. And so the goal with her would be, we threw out to start a Taylor Tuesday when we were talking.
Yeah.
And so every Tuesday we're going to have her do like a video of herself on her phone, just saying hi to everybody. Like, hey y'all, it's Taylor Tuesday. Just wanted to show you the team we're about to get
Has
out
she
in the morning.
committed to this?
Talked to her about it yesterday.
Really?
Oh, she's excited about it. She was super excited to do the 7-second
Yeah,
video.
no, I agree with everything you said. But it does surprise me that she's excited about that, because she does, like you say, she's quiet. She's naturally quiet.
Yeah.
She also spent an hour watching Lowe in his element and do a good job. I think that probably drew her in my opinion.
I think too with Michael too, because I think they both just
Yeah,
sat
that's
there
true.
and they were
Yeah.
watching
Michael
Lo do it,
Bridges?
And they were laughing. Yeah, Michael Bridges, and they were laughing about it because these are some of the people. Like, one of the goals Ben and I talked about was highlighting the team members, because it makes it so much more personal to the client.
That
when
is-
they can feel who's going to come. They know who's coming to their house. They've seen them before. They know kind of at least their personality, as opposed to just some random person showing up at your house.
To me, that's bigger than the colors and the hexagons.
Right.
And, I mean, you look up there. There's a reason that we use the photos of the team members, because it is personal. These are people that you trust to come on your property and do the thing that you don't want to do, that makes a big difference in your home, whether it's the pool, whether it's the lawn, the shrubs, whatever, right? I think there's a level of wanting to get to know those people, and there's not a lot of brands that do that. It's not always the same person coming out. It's not always somebody maybe necessarily that's passionate about it, and I think that's something unique to our team that I'm excited to highlight this year as a part of the brand.
Absolutely.
It's always needed to be a part of the brand, but this year I think we're really going to capitalize on that a lot
We have the
more.
resources, we have the intention,
Yep.
and the means. We'll get it done.
And then we just gotta open you up a little bit there, EJ. We gotta
Yeah, that's
know
a
more
good
about
segue.
you.
Open me up.
Open you up.
I'm kind of an open book.
I was
What do you
gonna
need?
say
To,
that
what do you
won't
want
be
to
too
know?
hard,
That's
I
not too
promise.
hard to get me open up.
I think it's less of opening you up and more of just repetition of getting you posted all of your videos.
I think that's a great point. Yes.
So you have had a bit of a shift over the past 3-ish months, maybe a little less than 3 months, more like 2 months, of where you are actually creating videos.
I'd say that's more like the last month.
Yeah.
It was December.
Yeah.
It's not that
All
long.
these videos you send me feels longer.
I was gonna say,
And
it's
I'm not
only
even.
been
And
4
I'm not
weeks,
even
but it
doing
feels
one
like
a day like I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, but either way, you have set out to practically focus on improving your ability to talk.
Yes. So,
Camera.
So yeah, so we started with that we were just talking earlier. This is a lot of this is practice for the future. Obviously, we want to get some value and intention out of it now, but a lot of it is also practice. And so you and I have been doing this sort of thing for almost 18 months now. I'm fairly comfortable. I feel comfortable in it. But what I have still not, or had still not gotten terribly comfortable with, is talking directly into to a camera. Me and the camera, one-on-one. Me and the camera, thank you. Me and the camera, one-on-one. I had still not quite, I talk over myself, I jumble my words, I wasn't super comfortable with it. So yeah, it was only 30 days ago, not 90 days. Kobe's right, it was December.
I know, I
But
just
we
said
decided,
it feels like it's
yeah. But we decided, thanks to y'all's help, and in preparation of Brent starting, I think I mentioned to you, I said, look, go through my calendar and give me at least something to speak on once a day. And I'll try to do it in 90 seconds. And of course I said, it's gotta be in my vehicle. I'm more comfortable. Just sitting behind the wheel, not obviously driving, or at least not maybe the first maybe the first few minutes.
Squash that one.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
But but to my defense, there's a lot of YouTubers that do that. But anyway, I started doing that, and now I've gotten more confident in doing that in just a few weeks, not even a month or
You've
more than a
improved
month.
a lot from the first
Right.
video,
And
impressively
the
so.
power of repetition.
And thank you.
Yep.
And so it is the power of repetition, and especially for me, I am definitely I have never been known to be a quick learner at anything. I don't think anybody's ever accused me of that. But I'm also not necessarily. I am a learn by doing. I really, it is not easy for me to learn. It's not easy for me to listen. It's not easy for me to listen. Not even easy for me to pay enough attention to just learn by watching. I've got to do it.
There was a video I sent you guys a while ago. We've watched it together, either together or independently, on starting a YouTube channel. But inside of that video was the example that he gave of a classroom and a setting where there was a professor that told their students that they had 30 days to create a figure, a pot, or something like that. And on one group, there was like 10 or 15 individuals, and they had 30 days to make one pot. And the other group, it was make one pot a day for 30 days. And at the end of that 30 days, they had an objective panel that came in to judge on which was the better. Hands down, the individuals that did it every day had the better product.
Yep.
It's the power of repetition,
Yep.
and it's those micro things that you learn on the last one. Oh, that timing was not too great. I said that thing too long, or I went on a rabbit trail that didn't make sense. It's those little micro things that you learn, and then you just apply it to the next one, and you do that over and over and over again, and your end product ends
Yep.
up being significantly better.
1% improvements. I've been.
I
Over
also-
365 days, 37 times better than the time you started.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's the power of just getting started.
Yep.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I know this of myself and doing other things, not necessarily content, but maybe also content, is you just dread it. And then
Yeah.
you start to, you do the first one, you go, oh, okay, that wasn't that bad. If I just keep doing it. And then once you get into that repetition, it's a routine.
Yeah.
That's what's happened with the last 30 days in these YouTube. I told Ben, as I mentioned, send me kind of what I should do each day. Well, of course, what I end up doing is dreading it. And so I don't do one every day. I wait until like Thursday, and then I do like all 4 of them. and I have to force myself towards the end of the week to do them. But the moment I do the first one, I can knock those other 3 or 4 like it's no problem at all.
Yeah.
So it is. Once you do it, and that's the case not just for content. That's the case for anything.
everything.
Half of the stuff that I delay, once I just do it, it's like, what was I waiting? What was I procrastinating?
Yeah.
What was I worried about? You can, I mean, just like you said, anything you do, if it's a little bit uncomfortable, you can convince yourself to push it. You're like, no, I don't need to do that now. No, I don't want to do that now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be uncomfortable. I just finished a hard day. I don't want to be uncomfortable for 4 minutes. You know what I mean? And then once you kind of learn to live in that uncomfortableness, to where you're like, all right, I know it's going to be uncomfortable. Let's get into it. And then you start thriving from that, and you build upon that.
Right.
And then eventually just part of nature.
It's
Part
almost
of,
adrenaline, really,
100%.
right? You just kind of get on that little wave of it. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that kind of felt
and then you
cool.
take every little thing that you're like, ooh, I can do this better. Ooh, I can do this better. And you just slowly, like you said, the micro moves you make to make it better and better. And the people that are able to do that are the people who are going to succeed. The people who can't and shut it down because of that uncomfortability, they're not going to be the ones to make it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, well, we certainly have a voice. I think this has been a great discussion up to this point. I think it proves that we need to do this more often. So
Well, I
to
saw you
that-
added my calendar. Yeah, go ahead.
we're going to be doing this every 2 weeks, not you literally, but hopefully you can be on this a lot more often. But generally speaking, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be increasing the tempo in which we do this. The every 6-week ordeal, that's got to stop. If we want to achieve creating engagement and getting better at what we
It's
do,
about volume, sir. I have no objection whatsoever.
you
Well,
don't.
and
Every 2 weeks.
the three of us were talking earlier about just how much content you can get out of something long form like this.
Yes.
We could,
Yep.
what we just talked about, the last however long it's been, 30, 45 minutes, I could chop into 20 different pieces
Right,
of
yep.
content and segments that we post for the next
all
year.
circle
Exactly.
back over to this, to the bigger picture of Chorbie.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to be focused on. A lot of stuff I'm super excited about. I'm excited for us to continue working together.
Absolutely.
And,
I'm excited as well. We got a lot of fun things to highlight. A lot of, talking with Kobe and getting excited about the direction we want to take the brand and getting it out there and knowing. I mean, it's a huge goal, and we're definitely gonna get it. But it's exciting to be at the very beginning of it for me and be like, all right, what can we do to not even help, but like supplement what you need, whatever you need, whatever you're seeing, relay to us, and then we'll go out and we'll make sure we get the best possible
Yeah.
content
Yeah.
for that. And so it's exciting, super exciting.
I'm excited to continue building out the media team, specific team.
I am too.
We have thoughts on
Really
what our
excited.
next employee needs to be.
It's that you were
think we
talking
got
about
some
that
time.
comfort zone. I'm excited because it's new. It does push the comfort
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I strongly believe what I said earlier, in words of Gary Vee, every company in the 21st century needs to be a media company first. You've got to.
Yeah, I think I've said this before. It was a short form video I saw of Mr. Wonderful. What's his name, right?
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
Yes, Kevin O'Leary. But he talked about someone asked him, a younger individual asked him, what is the degree to get in the future? If you want to have a successful career in the future, that's kind of general degree. He said, top 3, engineering, engineering, engineering.
Yep. I pretty much tell my son that on a regular basis.
Well, he said now his answer has changed a bit to be more along the lines of, if you have the ability to craft a story, if you have the skill set to craft a story, you're on the right track for the future in this society.
Yeah. Creative. It's
Right,
creative
yeah.
thought and critical thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to
absolutely.
say,
It's-
I think so many, outside of STEM,
Yep.
right? So many degrees focused on the soft skill and the problem solving, which really,
Which is
media
all-
is just solving a problem. Storytelling is just
Yeah.
solving a problem, and that's where media is going, and has been going for quite
Right.
some time, but
Right.
has accelerated into this quick, short form storytelling. Being genuine, right?
Yes.
Getting to
Yeah.
know a personality. Nobody wants to buy a product today. Nobody wants to be sold anything. They want to be sold
A story, an
story.
idea,
idea.
a
Yep.
vision,
A value.
a value.
Yeah.
Yep.
which I think Chorbie has laid a very good foundation
We've
on.
got an incredible foundation. We just got to let the world know.
Exactly. Exactly.
What
I can't wait to chop that one up.
Great end plug. We have to let the world know.
You want me to do it again? We got to let the world know. Let
love
the world know about Chorbie.
Yep, that's right.
That's going to be a GIF on the Instagram.
It is.
Let the world
That's
know.
actually going to be an internal gift that is used a lot.
So I'm going to put that
Cool.
on the header of the new site. Just EJ doing this.
Let the
Really on
world
brand.
know.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
the
very
globe
on brand,
just
for
appears
sure.
right there.
Yeah. Not
I can
tagging
see
it
a rainbow forming as soon as he does this too.
like the SpongeBob.
I like y'all's
Imagine.
thinking. I look forward to this this creativity coming alive.
EJ, did you ever think that you would be here with a team talking about this?
On one hand, no.
Yeah.
And that's the gratitude side. On the other hand, absolutely. I've been thinking about this since I was 5.
Fair enough. All right.
But so yeah, no, mixture of the two.
Yeah.
I would say. But in the macro, yes, I did.
Sure.
In the micro, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's an incredible thing to see happen.
Yeah.
And I'm a very contemplative person. As much as I like to daydream about the future, I love to contemplate the past. And I am pretty, what's the word? When you said it one of the first times you ever came into my garage, and
Nostalgic?
I said, nostalgic, that's the
Yeah.
word. I said, yeah, I'm a little nostalgic, if you look around here. And he goes, clearly. So I like to think about the past too, and I'm pretty nostalgic. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm very grateful. And on one hand, no, my 21-year-old self, when this started, could have never actually comprehended. And frankly, I look at that and I think I'm 38. I think when I'm 50, and my vision for Chorbie is a 12-year vision. Now, it might take my entire life, and that's fine too. So be it. But I hope it happens in 12 years. Just a little thing for me that really has no real bearing. But when I'm 50 and I look back to 38, even though I have this vision and I can see it, I can't even actually comprehend it right now. And I'll be able to look back in the last 12 years and be like, oh, I could have never imagined. So that's my
It'll
answer to
happen.
that. It'll happen.
Yeah, I believe
Because
that.
I mean, again, I've said this over the years with our company, but I'll say it for myself. It's as a 21-year-old where I started, it was a lot harder to get to where I am now, I think, than it would be to get to where I'm trying to get to now. I think so, at least.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it's like, the economies of scale thing.
There you go.
You're
Exactly.
able to propel yourself
Exactly.
much further forward, much quicker.
That's exactly right. It's a flywheel.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, this has been great. I think that we've accomplished a lot in this conversation. I'm excited to look back in a year from now on the progression that we've made. I'm excited to laugh about the things that we thought we knew in this conversation. Because
I
that
love
usually
that.
happens
Yep.
year over year.
Yep.
But anyways, this was great.
Wait till you start. See, you're still young. You wait till you get into the decades. You really start to see.
That scares me a little.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Not for you. It should scare a lot of people. It shouldn't scare you.
Well, we'll see. Let's get out of here.
Oh, that's funny.